it is easy to eat whatever and really just shove our face with a bunch of bad stuff because it's really hard to eat when we travel. That's kind of the fact of the matter. But number 4 is to prioritize your protein intake. What is going on, my friends? Welcome back to another episode of The Morning Takeaway, aka the Inside Influence podcast. And today is the last podcast that I will ever do from this particular spot. As you can tell behind me, I've got a bunch of craziness, the couch cushions all over, lights set up, all just things that I'm trying to sell and get rid of because today is literally the day that I'm packing everything up in the U-Haul, and tomorrow I will be getting out of here and embarking on the journey that I've been kind of alluding to on YouTube and the life updates vlog, as well as on Instagram, Snapchat, and obviously if you want to keep up with that journey, you can follow me on those platforms as well if you don't already. But with that said, I think, as I start, if you don't know what I'm doing, I am going to basically be picking a new spot every month to live in and just kind of experience the States, and then with the hopes of eventually one day doing it internationally. But I think with all the travel ahead and knowing that I have this travel kind of world ahead, I think this podcast will be beneficial, or it's a good thing. It's been on my mind, and it's something that I apply when I travel. So I think it would be It's a good time to talk about it, I guess. And if you have travels coming up, if you experience jet lag, if you just have a hard time kind of getting adjusted when you travel, then these 5 tips are going to help you kind of hopefully, navigate. And when you do travel, they can help you and you find some kind of benefit. So before we get into that, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and if there's anything that you take from this, and a takeaway, for lack of a better term, if you don't mind sharing the show, it's the best way that you can help me out, as I've said a million times on here. And share with somebody. That helps me more than you know. So without selling you on my YouTube pitch any further, let's jump into the 5 tips that I have for you today. Again, I originally was going to do this podcast just to kind of say like help with jet lag, but I think this is just more travel oriented and things that to help you kind of stay on your goals and more or less, especially in the mornings, just get adjusted and feel your best when you travel. So with that said, number 1 is get sunlight as soon as you wake up. 20 to 30 minutes as soon as you wake up. There is so much research behind this, and this is pretty applicable to anything. No matter if you're traveling or just at your house, getting sunlight in the morning is so beneficial for your brain, for your body, for your circadian rhythm, for the list goes on and on. But that's number 1 priority. I kind of couple that with number 2, which is what I would say as the number 2 priority, if not number 1. It's getting some kind of movement in early in the morning. And I always kind of say, because I know how great movement makes me feel, I feel like when I get workouts in when I'm traveling on the road, it sets that travel day up for more, it's almost more enjoyable because you did something for yourself. You know that you put your body, you did something beneficial for your body. A lot of times when we're traveling, it's easy to let every excuse come up in the book to put off our goals or put off our movement, and then we kind of get trapped in this hamster wheel. Then we get home and it's the vacation hangover, the travel hangover, and you don't want to get back to working out. So if we can keep that momentum, then it's obviously going to be beneficial for the long run. So again, and there's psychological or physiological benefits to that as well, to get into that rhythm of traveling and kind of eliminate jet lag, eliminate all the other kind of negative side effects that come along with travel. So number 1, get sunlight early in the morning, 20 to 30 minutes, get movement in is number 2. I would, you can couple those together. You can go on a 20 to 30 minute walk, go, do a body weight workout outside. Just be outside and work out. If you want to go on a walk and then go to the gym, whatever floats your boat. So that's number one. Number two, and then number three, this is definitely going to be applicable to traveling and jet lag as it pertains to your circadian rhythm, but going to bed at the same time, or waking up rather, at the same time that you normally would wake up at home. So let's say, for example, I was just in Hawaii. If I normally wake up at 5 a.m. California time, I should wake up at 5 a.m. Hawaii time as well, right? Even though it's 8 a.m. in California, you're still getting your body used to that same schedule. Now, with that said, that's a little easier to do because it would be a little harder to do probably if you're going back in time. But this is probably more applicable to, especially when you're going forward in time zones. And although you might be losing out on some sleep, your body is going to be able to adjust more quicker, I guess is the right way to say that, and more effectively. So by doing that, you're able to basically say, hey, to your body, that we're gonna go to the bed at the same time, we're gonna wake up at the same time, and our body's gonna more effectively be able to say, hey, this is what's going on, and we can get back to baseline, right? So I think that's just applicable in normal life too, going to bed at the same time, waking up at the same time. A lot of people will say go to bed with the sun, go to bed with the sun, wake up with the sun. If you look into the evolutionary aspects of life and human beings, and before there was electricity, right, that was kind of what dictated our days, right? So our circadian rhythms work in 12-hour cycles, and obviously our circadian rhythm has a lot to do with melatonin. And if there's one little extra bonus that I throw in here, it's to be careful with melatonin, because studies show that they can be anywhere from 14% to 300% incorrect labeled wise. The FDA has certain things that you have to prove, and as long as they can get by with something, they can mislabel things. And in my opinion, taking melatonin is not in your best interest, because it's messing with your natural melatonin cycle, which you need your natural melatonin in order to increase growth hormone, increase all kinds of these recovery aspects, and when your body is trying to grow, recover, repair in the most prime time piece of your day when you're sleeping, right? So with that said, be careful with the melatonin. If you do need to use melatonin, I would suggest doing that. Let's say if you go overseas and the time difference is anywhere from 6 to 12 hours, right? It's something super crazy. Because then you can introduce that cycle, say, hey, it's time to go to bed, and not be so far off your path. So that's number three, is to go to bed and wake up at the same time. More specifically, wake up at the same time that you normally do. Number four, this is not going to really have anything to do with jet lag as the previous one did, previous really three. But number four is more travel oriented and to feel your best. A lot of times it is easy to eat whatever and really just shove our face with a bunch of bad stuff, because it's really hard to eat when we travel. That's kind of the fact of the matter. But number four is to prioritize your protein intake. Typically, on a normal day, you probably should be shooting for about a gram of protein per pound of body weight. When you're traveling, we can dial that back a little, because you're not probably going to be moving as much, but you still need the protein intake to fuel your muscles, to repair, and for the overall energy. So it's gonna help your brain and cognitive function as well. So for me, when I travel, like especially on a travel day, I really don't eat. I fast and just have black coffee and salt, which we'll get into on number 5. But when I do, if I am, maybe it's a super weird travel day. I try to travel in the mornings, but maybe if I do, I'll get a couple things of beef jerky, or I will prep some chicken breasts or chicken sausage or whatever and bring that with me, and typically try not to get anything in the airport that comes in a bag that you Ziploc, because it's really, and I had a really bad habit at one point, I would always buy the snack mix, trail mix, and that bag would be gone in less than 30 seconds. And for anybody that knows to pay attention to serving sizes, you should know, because if you go to buy one of those bags and it says 190 calories for, whatever, you look at the bag and you're like, oh, this is a small bag. Well, a serving size of nuts is like 1/4 of a cup, which is like literally the corner of my palm. So if you eat the whole bag, you're probably going to intake, if there's 6 servings, you're probably going to intake 600 to 800 calories right there if you eat the whole thing, which is what I was doing. So just pay attention, be cognizant of that, and try to prioritize protein instead of the fats and the carbs, because those things pile up. And even if the bag says, hey, it's only got 8 grams of carbs, well, if you eat the whole thing and there's 6 servings, well, you just had 50 grams of carbs. So they add up. So pay attention to that, prioritize protein. Number 5, stay hydrated. This is probably an easy one to understand, but I also want to hit on the fact that salt is your best friend. Our bodies need salt. More specifically, if you really want to get into salt, try Celtic salt, pink Himalayan salt, or some kind of real salt is actually a brand. That's a pretty good brand. But my go-to is the Celtic salt, and the salt is literally, it's part of electrolytes, right? So our electrolytes, our brain to body connection and signal is wired by electrical signals, and the key root word of electrolytes is electric, right? So without salt, those motor neurons can't fire and wire together as effectively. So don't be afraid of salt. Now, when I say that, don't go to Chipotle and have a Chipotle bowl that's already got 1,300 milligrams of sodium. That's different. Let's put a couple pinches of Celtic salt in our water and squeeze a lemon to make it taste good, right? Or there's all kinds of brands out there that have electrolyte packets that I really like. Liquid IV is one, not my favorite. My primary favorite one that if I could have every day, and I'm not sponsored by them, but I have used their stuff quite a bit, is Element. It's literally an LMNT, and it's like 2,000 milligrams of sodium, good sodium, and you can tell the difference, not only hydration-wise, but mental clarity-wise, cognitive function. So just a shameless plug there for, I guess there's really no shame because I'm not sponsored there. But if that is something you want to check out, that's a good brand that I would recommend. All of them kind of do the same thing, but you want to pay attention to artificial sweeteners and sugars and blah, blah, blah. So staying hydrated, that goes without saying. It's going to help your body feel better, and ultimately, if you're fasting like I do, staying hydrated is only going to help you prolong that eating period and put off the bad decisions of travel eating anyways. So that is my top 5 little tips for travel and getting adjusted and jet lag. And I won't repeat myself too much, but again, number 1 is sunlight. Number 2 is get movement in. Number 3 is go to bed and wake up at the same time, or just wake up at the same time. Number 4 is prioritize protein intake. Number 5 is stay hydrated. Salt is your best friend. So with that said, I'm going to wrap up this last podcast in my house before I go pack up the U-Haul, and I'm going to get my last random question generated. So here we are. I just generated it. It says, what makes you cry? First thing I can think of is, I don't know. When I'm with Mitch, my best friend, it's really easy to cry when I'm laughing. But what makes me cry? I'm not really going to cry at a sad movie. I guess when somebody writes a super special note, that's a good one. When there is, all the normal things, when fatalities, when there's, it's okay to cry. I guess I should say that too. And it's normal. If you cry, that's healthy. Get it out. But I don't know why I just thought about this, but I was thinking about crying, and when you taste your tears, they're salty. I wanted to hit on that again. When you sweat, it's salty. Our bodies are literally like walking oceans, so it makes sense to replenish the salt. Anyways, so that's what I got for you. What makes me cry? Funny things and special notes. We'll leave it there. But with that said, I hope you took something away from this podcast. You're able to apply it. Let me know in the comments if you've heard some of these things, or you have other things that you'd like others to hear. Leave it in the comments, and I'll be happy to reply. Again, I always pretty much reply within the first 48 hours and like to engage with you all. So that said, I'm gonna wrap it up. That's it from this home that I called my home for 9 months in Newport Beach, and it's time to go pack up the U-Haul. So I will see you. I'm not really sure where the next podcast will take place, but it'll be in a new location. I'll set it up in the middle of the woods if I have to. So with that said, I appreciate you watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Hit the bell icon so you're the first one to see my videos. I will see you next time. Have an awesome freaking day, and don't forget to smile.